Welcome to this presentation on strategies for improving your emotional health, as well as the emotional health of the people you love and care about. It will also include my personal story and what inspired me to do what I do today. My name is Rennie Alter. I wear many hats as an author, poet, storyteller, photographer, member of Killeen Toastmasters, a member of the Central Texas Writers Society, a member of the Texas Education Extension Association, a Reiki practitioner, Theta Healing practitioner, a volunteer in my community, a book publishing coach, and I provide publishing and media services. I am also a health nut, emotions mentor, a life coach, and a doTERRA wellness advocate. With a passion for raising awareness about mental, emotional, and physical challenges, as well as natural solutions to overcome them. Plus, I promote therapeutic writing all the way up to publishing, if that is your goal. But before all this, I was a mess. I was sick, stressed out, depressed, in pain. My mental and emotional state incapacitated me physically, even to the point of developing intense pain throughout my entire body and becoming wheelchair dependent. I had to go on disability when I was 43 years young, and with the help of some potent prescription drugs, I stayed in bed for most of my life for nearly 14 years. No matter how much medication I took, I still struggled with pain and depression. I got very little exercise, which made everything worse. After I explain some facts, I'm going to share with you how I managed to dig my way out and how I personally achieved happiness, confidence, improved health, much less pain, and a sense of purpose. In the beginning, even before you were born, you felt and was affected by everything in your environment, including whatever your parents were dealing with. Did you come from an environment of struggle, poverty, abuse, alcoholism, drug addiction, illness, depression? Or were you one of the lucky ones who were well off with an easy life filled with love, respect, and good health? By the time you were 6 years old, your identity was formed. Because your brain was operating in theta state, you experienced everything as if it was reality. You believed whatever you were taught to believe, absorbing everything like you were a sponge, much of which may not have been true. This includes religious beliefs and beliefs about love. Conclusions you made based on your limited perspective will rule your life, health, and relationships. They become your subconscious mind, which runs 93% of your life. Do you know who you decided you were when you were 6 years old? History. His story, her story, your story. Let me tell you my story. My father was verbally and sometimes physically abusive. I had concluded that I was stupid, unworthy, I had to be perfect to be loved, and since I wasn't perfect, I was unlovable. I'd get attention only when I was sick, and I had to be in pain to validate my existence. I didn't have any friends. I was so used to being bullied and yelled at, I attracted partners and an occasional employer who continued to treat me this way, suffering from one trauma after another. My life was very chaotic, and none of my relationships lasted for more than 4 years. I've moved 43 times, and some of those times I had to abandon most of my possessions. These experiences became my stories and all I talked about. Can you relate to any of this? I began researching mental health sometime between 2012 and 2014. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, 43.4 million Americans are suffering from mental health issues, 17.9% of U.S. adults. Nearly 2/3 have yet to receive help. 45% find cost as barrier. Are you or someone you know one of these statistics? I was. Variations of anxiety include generalized anxiety disorder, social anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. If you have low self-worth, you'll be anxious about everything. Anxiety affects the sufferer physically as well as mentally, surpassing even depression. Anxiety is the most common form of mental illness in the United States. Despite its high level of treatability through therapy and/or medication, 2/3 of adults with anxiety do not receive treatment. Only 1 in 5 teen sufferers receive treatment. Statistically, women are more commonly afflicted by anxiety disorders than men. Brain scans of people suffering with various anxiety disorders have often shown evidence of chemical imbalances. Both your thoughts and emotions become your physical body. War veterans are not the only ones who suffer from PTSD. Others who commonly experience post-traumatic anxiety, including flashbacks as survivors of sexual assault, domestic violence, child abuse, abandonment, bullying, accidents, and natural disasters. Death, grief, and loss are major triggers to health-related stress issues as well. Those who suffer from anxiety are prone to suffering from depression simultaneously, as well as chronic pain. Although anxiety disorders can be triggered by extended environmental stress or traumatic life events, anyone can be afflicted with this form of mental illness. Additional factors that can contribute to the decline in mental health include poor nutrition. Ironically, the first letters of the word standard American diet is SAD. Environmental toxins, heavy metal toxicity, poor living conditions and quality of relationships, poor sleep, insomnia, staying up too late, night shifts, and sleep apnea. This slide shows the effects of sleep deprivation. If you are not personally dealing with any of these issues, most likely you know people who are. Your brain is an amazing processing machine. It is also full of ants, automatic negative thoughts. It makes observations, thinks thoughts, makes conclusions, develops beliefs, makes up stories, and manifests illness, pain, anxiety, depression, and myriads of other health issues. Then it does everything it can to keep you safe, but the process usually backfires. Your brain only knows how to do 3 things when confronted with stress, fear, anxiety, or a reaction to danger: fight, flight, or freeze. In today's world, we are bombarded by continuous stress. What's worse is, while you are in this state, your body can't regenerate or heal. The result is the manifestation of numerous health problems. When I began this presentation, I told you I would share with you how I managed to dig my way out. In 2012, I found Dr. David Byrne's book, Feeling Good, the New Mood Therapy, in a home where I was cat-sitting. I discovered I had all of the 10 cognitive distortions, also known as the 10 forms of twisted thinking. The good news is the book also has exercises to do so you can learn how to untwist your thinking. I worked on this process on my own for about 2 years, and now I'm pretty good at it. Instead of my previous automatic thought patterns, I now self-check to this list quite often. How do you untwist your thinking? First, you write down all your automatic thoughts, which means you have to become aware of them. Then you see if you can match them to one or more of the 10 cognitive distortions. Third, You come up with a rational response. For example, when I used to wake up stiff and in pain, I told myself I'd always be that way. I'd never get better, and I'll never be able to do the things I want to do. Note the words always and never. I now have a sticky note that says, "You'll feel better once you get moving." These are some of the questions you are instructed to ask yourself for each of your thoughts. Do you have any evidence that the thought is true? Would you say this to someone else, even a child, with the same problem? Is there a way you can test it to find out if the thought is really true? Are you looking at the situation as black or white, or all or nothing? I love cats, so I couldn't resist using this photo. I found a lot of my thoughts and conclusions fit into this category. Would other people agree that this thought is valid? Are you using vague, derogatory labels that have no real meaning? Are you using a lot of should statements and beating yourself up because you couldn't or didn't do what you told yourself you should do? Next, I learned about EFT tapping, and I tapped on how devastated I was when I was 21, just before I dozed at the wheel and crashed into a parked car. A young man I was in love with had just broken up with me. Have you ever been dumped? Did you know emotions from traumatic events stay stuck in your body so you don't heal, which can manifest as chronic pain? This is why pain medications won't work if you have emotional pain that manifests as physical. Tapping is a set of techniques which utilize the body's energy meridian points. You can stimulate these meridian points by tapping on them with your fingertips, literally tapping into your body's own energy and healing power. In 2015, I went to a metaphysical fair and found Ambika, who introduced me to theta healing. A year later, I returned to find her again and experienced a mini theta healing session. Then she loaned me Vianna Stibel's book. In theta healing, you go digging for the bottom beliefs, pull these beliefs, and replace them with new beliefs, which are also called downloads. For instance, if you have no idea what love feels like, which in my case I didn't, there are downloads with these feelings. The book is filled with all the common beliefs of mankind, and I discovered, as human beings, almost everyone is dealing with similar issues. All those years I had isolated myself, thinking I was the only one, and suddenly I didn't feel so alone anymore. This is how I discovered that two of my bottom beliefs were I had to be in pain in order to exist, and I had to be perfect to be loved. Ambika pulled these beliefs and downloaded new ones. I immediately felt the difference, and my life took off. Then I enrolled in her basic and advanced classes and got both certifications along with a lot more amazing downloads. Ambika is also a nutritionist and recommended I stop eating grains and beans and switch to paleo. So much for trying to be a vegetarian. I made this change back in April, and I felt the difference after 3 months. In July of 2015, I joined Galeen Toastmasters when I found out it was an excellent way to increase self-confidence and learn how to speak in front of an audience. I met Tim Manson, who is the master of resilience. Despite dealing with MS, I had just discovered what resilience was, that I didn't have it, and it was something I could learn. I also met a lot of military personnel, current, retired, spouses, and children who I could relate to as far as PTSD and moving around a lot. About that time, I also discovered Teal Swan. Teal survived years of ritual childhood torture and abuse before escaping when she was 19 and became known as a spiritual catalyst, traveling the world while she transformed lives. My childhood issues were insignificant compared to hers, and I realized how big of a mountain I had been making of all my molehills. Here are some main points she teaches. Your emotions are not your enemy. They are your compass. How you feel will tell you what your subconscious thoughts are. If you ignore and stuff your emotions, you can't use them for what they are there for, to let you know what you are thinking about and what is buried in your subconscious. What do most people do? Those of us who internalized them because we were taught it wasn't appropriate to express them and never learned how to do so in healthy ways end up with health challenges, anxiety, and depression. I was one of these people. Other people are creating havoc in the world because they don't know what to do with their feelings, so they lash out. These are the bullies and the abusers. In one of Teal's videos about setting boundaries and knowing when to say no, something I hadn't learned how to do, she recommended putting sticky notes up all over with the question, what would someone who loves themselves do? Doing this exercise helped me become aware I still had more work to do in the self-love department. I was quite surprised when about 2 weeks later this answer came to me. Treat myself as if I was a beloved garden. Choose the flowers I want to grow. Here is my list. Plant seeds of positive thoughts and pull the weeds of cognitive distortions. This next one helped me to overcome sugar and food addictions and improve my diet. Fertilize my body by eating healthy. I learned that serotonin is produced in your gut, and a compromised gut affects your health, your mood, your brain, and your immune system. Yes, indeed, a sad diet is going to make you feel sad, which can lead to anxiety and depression. Fertilize my mind by meditating, listening to healing sounds, and exercising. Deep breathing meditation brings your awareness to the present moment and being conscious of your body. Too many of us are in the habit of staying in our heads. I am one of them. I have sticky notes in numerous places with the word breathe on it to remind myself to take breathing breaks. And I certainly would not want to use any pesticides in my garden or put less than optimal fuel, oil, and water in my car. Why was I okay with putting them in my body? If you haven't watched the documentary Food Incorporated, I highly recommend it. I'd make sure I watered my flowers. I found out how important it is to drink at least half your body weight in ounces every day. Adding a drop of one of my favorite essential oils to flavor the water helps. I'd be patient while I wait for my flowers to grow and bloom. In other words, be patient with myself. I'd feel the joy of watching new flowers grow, how it feels to be healthier and more energetic. I'd bask in the wonder of how much beauty can sprout from tiny seeds as I experience an increase in self-confidence along with my health. And then I wrote a new book called Growing an Inner Garden to Cope with Chronic Pain, Illness, and Depression, which includes all of these concepts. In the meantime, I was reading other books like Bruce Lipton's Biology of Belief. To sum up his work, there are over 50 trillion cells in every human body. 50 trillion! That's like 50 trillion stars in the universe, which makes each human body an independent universe. Lipton discovered that cells are affected by the environment of life's circumstances, thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, not your genes. I was excited about all my new discoveries, and people began to show up in my life to teach me even more. In Lampasas, Kristen Plaines, an acupuncturist, had moved to town who also practices Chinese medicine. When I went to her for treatment, she introduced me to doTERRA essential oils. Kristen discovered essential oils were even more effective than her Chinese medicine when it came to emotions. She held free weekly educational classes for about 2 years, except for during the summer, and I rarely missed one. The woman who introduced her to doTERRA is Teresa Linder, who is married to Rebecca Hinsey's cousin. Rebecca is well known as the emotions mentor and has been with doTERRA since it was formed in 2008. Rebecca had helped Teresa overcome her childhood traumas, and now Teresa was teaching us what Rebecca had taught her. I was introduced to emotional intelligence and aromatherapy. I learned that emotional intelligence is more important than IQ. Emotional intelligence is what I had been missing all my life, and something a lot of people never learn. But it's something you can learn. Here's what's happening in your brain. Based on individual perception and interpretation of life experiences, each of us builds our own unique superhighways, neural networks, of programmed responses. We learn from experience, and our brain intentionally establishes memorized routes for later use. Like the road you drive on every day to get to work without thinking about where you're going, your brain is on autopilot. When recognizable circumstances occur, like switching on cruise control, your brain takes the wheel utilizing what could be called EPS, an emotional positioning system, or habitual pre-programmed pathways of emotional responses. You have a backseat driver, also known as a monkey mind. The information you've been accumulating throughout your life, in your subconscious, became established emotional response routes that are difficult to reprogram. Repeated use of these routes, automatic thoughts, trigger the predictable release of certain chemicals. Do you remember my telling you your thoughts and emotions become your physical body? These chemical habits can be hard to break. This is why it can feel like your emotions are running you. They become your backseat driver. Picture this monkey on your shoulder sabotaging your health, your goals, and your life. Your tires get stuck in the ruts of your well-traveled response roads, and you feel like you can't change lanes when you've been triggered, resulting in an unforeseen reactions and outburst, also called amygdala hijacks. Teresa told us how when her husband said he preferred eating spaghetti sauce out of the jar after she had toiled for hours to make home-cooked sauce, she threw the whole plate at him, walked out of the house, and had a meltdown. She had no idea why she was triggered until Rebecca helped her realize that in her all-or-nothing thinking, she had concluded she was unworthy because her husband preferred sauce out of the jar over hers. With Rebecca's help, she was able to trace it back to something her mother had said when she was a child, which was buried in her subconscious. The good news is there's roadside assistance. Emotional aromatherapy is a superb and proven method for influencing chemical and emotional responses. When you inhale aromatic substances through your nasal cavity, they travel to the olfactory bulb, which has olfactory neurons which affect the limbic systems of the brain, which triggers physical changes in your body. Essential oils have been proven to interrupt old mental emotional response patterns and create new ones by stimulating multiple regions of the brain, including those controlling endocrine, immune, and limbic functions, which directly and profoundly affect the deepest levels of your body, emotions, and psyche. But be cautious. Make sure you use pure certified therapeutic grade oils, not a chemically adulterated brand. I especially like the system doTERRA developed. When you want to feel less of certain emotions, there is an opposite, with a suggested oil blend. Plus, there is a complex system on a wheel that complements the book, which has just about every emotion humanly possible, along with suggested oils which can help you transcend those emotions. Essential oils are one of the many tools you can incorporate into your life to help you deal with everyday challenges. They empower you to be in control of your own health, including protection from viral and bacterial infections. There is always something to learn when it comes to health, and it is imperative you become your own advocate. Unfortunately, the food industry is mainly interested in making money, and their aggressive advertising has convinced most people, including our children, to eat and drink what isn't good for them. The healthcare system is designed to manage illness and diseases, not preventive medicine and nutrition. Most doctors are trained by pharmaceutical companies on which drugs to prescribe for which symptoms, and they pay bonuses to these doctors when they are prescribed. Plus, most doctors can't possibly provide the time you need to discuss all your issues. So far I've covered facts about mental health, cognitive distortions, EFT tapping, theta healing, your emotions are your compass, growing an internal garden, biology of belief, emotional aromatherapy with essential oils, and the necessity of becoming your own advocate. As a doTERRA wellness advocate, I am passionate about educating and empowering individuals on how they can improve their health, alleviate stress, improve their sleep, and much more, so be sure to contact me about having an oil experience and find out how you can get a wholesale account to purchase your own. Last but not least, I will cover therapeutic writing. We talked about your stories in the beginning of the presentation. There is what happened to you and the stories you make up about what happened to you. What are the stories you've been telling yourself and others about your experiences, which, most likely, are loaded with cognitive distortions? Here's information I found on the therapeutic benefits of writing. Journal to become aware of your primary thought patterns and feelings. Pay attention to what you're focusing on. Discover additional perspectives to any given situation. Reframe thoughts to transform feelings. Visualize what you desire in life. Imagine what it feels like to already have what you desire, and create a new story for your future. Turn the page of your life and begin a new chapter. I created this book to help you with your journaling process. There are even mental health benefits of writing a memoir. Writing can help your brain and your spirit to create order out of chaos. The act of organizing your past into a system, whether chronological or otherwise, can help you see your life in a different way, and according to neuroscientists, can even change your brain's organic structure. Organizing your life into a structure, looking for patterns, and finding the words to express yourself is great mental exercise. Looking at the past can remind you of how tough you must be because, hey, you're still here. Consider becoming the hero of your own life. As you can see, I've been doing a lot of writing, and all my books are published on Amazon. I encourage you all to get in touch with your inner child. Get your stories out of your head, along with all the meanings you gave to your experiences, and write a book where they can live in a safe place while you move on to a new chapter in your life. Diffuse essential oils where you are writing for a clear mind, mood control, memory, and inspiration. Your unique story is meant to inspire someone else like I am doing today with mine. I can help you with the process, and I can even help you get published. You have the power to turn the page and write a new script for your life. If Teal Swan and I can do it, I know you can. In summary, develop conscious awareness. Track your thoughts. Let your emotions be your guide and make them your friends. Keep a log of all the things you are grateful for, as well as miracles and synchronicities, which will train your mind to focus on the positive. Practice meditation and prayer. Get involved in your community and local clubs, which will provide you with a sense of purpose. Use essential oils. Write your stories. And if you want to, get published. Most of all, choose happiness. Happiness, I found out, is a choice. Thank you for showing up today to learn about strategies for improving your emotional health and the people you care about. Please remember that you are your own best advocate and that wellness is a gift that you can claim. I started a blog in 2011, which you can find on RennieAltersAtmosphere.com, as well as pages for my books, music, more about me, links to multiple websites, articles, videos, Facebook pages, and Pinterest. I've put blog posts in 2 books so far, with a 3rd on the way, in case you don't want to go back through the blog itself. The second website shown on this page is for publishing and media services. You can reach out to me by using the contact form on either of these sites. Bye for now.